Welcome and thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. I'm Daniel Davis. On the program today, we're joined back with a special guest, Angela DeBill, who is back to tell us about what the benefits of vitamin E are. We're also going to learn some of the things that we need to pay attention to should we decide that we're going to supplement our diet with vitamin E. The semi-synthetic kind that's marketed in stores is a natural product. Will also be recommended to a potent form of vitamin E that's going to be found from something known as the annatto plant. So we're going to find out more about that. Our guest is a healthy lifestyle advocate as well as an educator, and she hails from Texas. Angela, thank you for being on the program today.
Hi, Daniel. Thanks so much for having me again.
You bet. Let's talk about, for instance, what vitamin E is specifically.
Yes. So vitamin E, I think most of us, even myself, when I think of vitamin E, I think of that cute little golden capsule that we probably have somewhere in our fridge or freezer. But vitamin E itself is actually more widely recognized for its antioxidant power. And antioxidants, as we know, in short, basically just help our immune system stay strong. And I think, especially in 2020, we can all agree that immunity is very important.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to vitamin E, how does it benefit our bodies exactly?
So vitamin E is great for our bodies. So our bodies, we have upwards of, I don't know, it's like 37, 38 trillion cells and counting, I'm not sure. But 90% of the outer layer of those cells is a protective layer, and that is actually built and made up of vitamin E. So vitamin E, we know, is an antioxidant. It's got antioxidant immunity power, but it actually is protecting our cell from damaging effects of, let's say, free radicals. And your audience is probably like, what the heck is a free radical? I could think of a lot of things in my mind, maybe. But basically, we kind of call them like the bullies on the block. They're what stress our body out. So our common sources of free radicals would be something like, our deep-fried foods or air pollution, smoking, even alcohol can be considered that. So what happens is these free radicals are all over our body, and they tend to oxidize our bad cholesterol, that LDL that we get, which contributes to cardiovascular damage, cancers, and even can increase the rate at which we age. So we lose our hair, our nails and everything are brittle, even skin elasticity. So that's why it's really important to supplement with a good vitamin E to protect our body and our cells against those things.
Now, when it comes to supplements, obviously people, when they hear about something and how good it does, they tend to think more is better. So can too much vitamin E actually be harmful?
Absolutely. Yes, it can. So, and we're only kind of just finding this out. This is just a newer research. But initially, when supplements and things were coming around, they were like, oh, the more you take, the better it must be for you. But we're only kind of now realizing that's not the case. So early research on vitamin E, to be honest, didn't really show much of any improvement to our bodies. At the best, if you were already someone that was vitamin E deficient, it could do some good to your body. It had some benefit. But at worst, these high doses and previous doses that they were recommending were actually very harmful. So, for instance, a 2013 analysis done actually showed vitamin E in high doses was increasing mortality rate when taking more than the daily amount they were recommending at the time. It was increasing blood pressure, thinning bones. It really was doing very harmful things to the body.
Wow, that doesn't sound like it'd be too much of a good time, would it?
No.
Now, I know that when it comes to supplements, a lot of people hear about natural products, things like that, and they don't have to be regulated by the FDA. So what role does the FDA play when it comes to supplementation?
Well, the FDA, I know we talked about this before, but the FDA, they don't have a big hold on it. Fun fact, one thing to know about vitamins and supplements in general is basically anything your own body doesn't make, or rather that it does make, can't be considered a vitamin. So you have to supplement that. That's why vitamins are on the shelf to supplement. Now, if we can get that from a very raw plant diet, and you can get that from just your foods, that would be great. But we know that our genetically modified foods have changed. They're treated with chemicals. We're simply not growing the same nutritious food that we were even 20 or 30 years ago. So we have to supplement. Now, vitamin E was actually discovered, well, I'll say discovered for better use of the word, back in 1922, was kind of official, derived from spinach. But we now know it can be sourced from, nuts and sunflower seeds to certain nut oils and green veggies. But the FDA approves only, they don't test for efficacy, basically, for supplements. They don't review them. So you're only checking out ingredients. The FDA, that's the only hand they have in the supplements. Now, in 1968, they did officially recognize vitamin E as an essential nutrient for humans because some research had shown in animal species that it was needed in order to bring a fetus to full term. So they're like, we need this in the body. I'm going to get a little technical here, and I want to throw a disclaimer out to your listeners because I'm not an expert or a scientist, and some of the words I'm going to use are going to be a little big and overwhelming.
That's okay. There we got a lot of smart people listening in.
So that might get a little boring for a second, a little scientific. But the analysis of vitamin E itself by the researchers showed it was made up of 8 different compounds. Okay, we had 4 what they're going to call tocopherols and 4 tocotrienols. And the FDA officially, like I said, recognized this as an essential nutrient, but they only recognized the tocopherol side of it. And that was a lot because it was more abundant in the things that we see, like I talked about, the nuts and the seeds and the greens. So I don't want to say the FDA has been wrong before, but we know the FDA has been wrong before. But alpha tocopherol is the only one currently recognized to meet I would say human consumption requirements because of this abundancy. But we now know that there are other forms of it that we'll talk about today that are going to be, I won't say better for your body because vitamin E is good, but essentially a better form of it. Now, the current form, the tocopherol form of the vitamin E is actually being reassessed because the current, more recent research is revealing it is a more inferior form and even harmful for our bodies. So, I think the past vitamin E information that was out there was a little bit overrated and maybe misleading.
That seems pretty crazy when you think about everything that's going on in the world, especially when it comes to supplements and things like that. You have to wonder sometimes as you're navigating shelves or trying to find out what the best thing to do is for you. You have to wonder, does the brand of vitamin E matter?
Oh, for sure. Yes. And I'll say actually yes and no. And what I kind of mean by that is, obviously there are brands out there that are more reputable than others. I won't name shame any, but, we all have our preference. People have opinions on the brands. But you definitely want to pay attention to the source of your vitamin E. And the brand, of course, comes into play when we make our decisions just personally anyways. But check your labels. I want everyone to check your labels from here on out when you're looking, whether it be vitamin E or any vitamin supplement you're checking. The most conventional supplement that's out there in the tocopherol form that you're seeing is they call it alpha tocopherol, or sometimes you'll see it as a DL alpha tocopherol. This is the most vanilla, for lack of a better word, vanilla form of vitamin E that's out there. It's got some quality to it, but honestly, it's not the most potent form. So I'm willing to bet that almost anybody listening right now, if you go run to your shelf or medicine cabinet, if that's a thing anymore, if you pull your label and look at your vitamin E, that's what you're going to see. It's this DL alpha tocopherol or alpha tocopherol. That is the, I'd say, less potent form of it. So even the natural form, which they they call it a D-alpha tocopherol without the L. I don't know why they do this. Like I said, it's technical. But even that natural form is not really all natural. It's not completely nature-derived. It is a semi-synthetic. So definitely check your labels when picking your brands and what you're putting in your body.
Yeah, that's certainly a wise thing to do, no doubt about that. So you have to wonder, too, in the vitamin E of the 21st century, what exactly it is.
Oh, I can tell you, Daniel. I can tell you. I love this question. So when I talked about the compounds that made it up, I talked about tocopherol and this tocotrienol. This tocotrienol is really what they're deeming the vitamin E of the 21st century. And it's amazing, but I want to talk specifically about one called Radiant. Now, I want to talk about Dr. Barry Tan, and I don't know if you've had the pleasure of talking with this man, but if you ever do, if you get a chance to have him as an expert on your show, he is a wonderful gentleman. I would say he probably is the world's expert in vitamin E. He has spent 40 years of his life doing clinical studies and research just on vitamin E. So he's dedicated his whole life to understanding it. So I had the pleasure of meeting him actually in line at a Starbucks of all places last year before I even knew who he was. And I tell you what I've learned from him and about vitamin E specifically has really been kind of life-changing. So I'll tell you a little bit about his story, but I promise if you ever get a chance to have him on your show, please do. His story is very unique and interesting, but he kind of describes it as just accidentally coming upon it. He is, in fact, the one that discovered this annatto plant, which is an Amazon plant. They call it the lipstick plant. He discovered it back in the 1990s. Now, what kind of drew him to it was the color of it and how the color was so vibrant. So he talks about how he just kind of like basically steps across some plant that he just kind of stumbled across. But once he analyzed it, he was so drawn to the colors. Once he analyzed it, took it back, he realized that it had some really significant and special qualities. The first being, of course, the color, how vibrant. But second, when he opened up the plant, most of the time when we open anything that has a seed, there's like a little bit of like a meshy substance, like a pomegranate would have the seeds around a kind of a meshy substance that holds it together. This one didn't. All the seeds were kind of free-flowing, and he couldn't figure out why. So once he analyzed it, what he realized is this plant, the annatto plant, is completely naturally tocopherol-free. That's the vanilla form of vitamin E we're talking about. It is entirely made up of delta and gamma tocotrienol. This is the vitamin E of the 21st century, the tocotrienol. So studies were done back in 1995, and they actually were comparing the tocopherol to tocotrienol. And while both of them kind of can help capture the free radicals in our body, the tocotrienol was 50 times more effective in protecting our cells. How crazy is that? So I like to think of kind of, I don't want to say dumbed down version, but just to mentally kind of visualize it. Tocopherol, or the common, sourced vitamin E that we see, is kind of like a local police department, for lack of better terms. This might be terrible. But they can only, kind of protect what's local. They have a jurisdiction, right? Tocotrienol, this annatto plant, is like the state police, or if like the feds. They could go anywhere, right? So they can go and help our body, all the cells in all the body. It's not localized. It can do way more than the tocopherol ever could.
Wow. It's pretty amazing to think about how a lot of this actually works, even in its complex form, I'm kind of curious how, for instance, you were talking about Radiant, how that's different from other vitamin E supplements.
Yes, so different. So only now are they kind of discovering, like I said, this is newer research. So tocotrienols are kind of a thing coming up. You might see them, popping up more and more. But Radiant itself is an exclusive product. So It's in its most important, I can't say anything today. Bleh, I need my coffee. The most potent form of all vitamin E, okay? It's the 50 times more potent than any other form of vitamin E you're going to see. It is extracted 100% naturally from this Amazon annatto plant. There's no chemicals used, no solvents. They definitely utilize the whole plant science when it comes to deriving this. And it is distilled directly from this annatto plant. There's nothing else. We know you can find tocotrienol now in other forms, such as like a palm oil from Malaysia and rice from Thailand, but this specific one is only from the annatto plant. Now, like I said, you're going to start seeing some supplements that are showing maybe it's a mixed form of vitamin E, mixed tocotrienols, because research is coming up with this new 21st century vitamin E, but there's nothing like this on the planet. Now I want to talk about GG as well, because in Radiant we have tocotrienol, which you're going to start finding in other vitamin E's, but no other product has GG. And GG, I'm going to say the scientific term again, is geranol geraniol. Now, I call it GG for short because it's very hard to say, but we make GG in our bodies. Your body produces geranol geraniol, to say that, GG. And it's actually significant in the production of our CoQ10 in our bodies. We actually need GG. It's a prerequisite for making our own CoQ10 in our bodies. Now, CoQ10 is very useful, important when it comes to muscle and bone health, pain management for sure, heart health. You see that all the time. If your doctor says you have heart issues, they're like, go take some CoQ10. But it also promotes testosterone production and kind of gives helps your body put the calcium in the bones and not let any excess calcium get in your arteries, which can clog our arteries. So that is significant, and it is definitely essential for hormone production. Now, GG is currently in development. It is not anywhere else on the market. You can look for it. You won't find it. It's in development, and Mr. Barry Tan, Dr. Barry Tan, is responsible for discovering that in this annatto plant with the tocotrienols. It's amazing.
Yeah, let's talk about tocotrienols. What kind of research has been shown about the benefits of these?
So research has been showing significant impacts on tocotrienols over, the older form of vitamin E, the tocopherol. Now, basically, it is definitely impressive when it comes to supporting overall health and cellular health, but there's also individual studies that were really important to recognize. For instance, and this is in studies, I want to clarify, this is studies that were without tocopherol at all. This is strictly tocotrienols from the annatto plant. So there was reduction in obesity. We know obesity is a problem in the United States. I think there's about 20% of our youth and 40% of adults are considered obese. It's also reduced inflammation. Now, over the past 20 to 30 years, we've seen a huge increase in the amount of diseases, chronic illness coming up that are attributed to inflammation. So this is a big product of the future. We also talk healthy aging. I don't know anyone out there that wants to age faster. I don't.
That's for sure. Or age badly, anyway.
Or age badly. That's right. We can't stop aging, but you can definitely do things to help your body age a little better, maybe a little more gracefully. The other big one is the studies with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now, this has become a big problem. This is actually something my husband suffers from. I didn't even know anything about it until, he basically was diagnosed with it. But non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So our liver is the single largest organ in your body, and it's I won't say it does the most, but it performs about 500 tasks in your body, just in between breaths. You just wouldn't even know it, but it is very intolerant to fat. So with the increase of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, of course, now we're seeing more nutrition labels that are saying, saturated versus non-saturated, monosaturated. You see all that everywhere. It's because of these liver problems. Now, when you have now non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, that's a lot to say. your liver is being kind of choked to death by all the fat that was not processed properly by your body. So there's upwards of 80 to 100 million Americans walking around that have a form of it and probably don't even have symptoms. That's pretty alarming to be quite honest. So non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, I want to stress this because it's so important. A lot of people think when they're diagnosed with it or having liver problems, they want to go seek out a supplement, something over the counter to take, a liver support. And this is where I want to caution you, because even though those things can help, what liver support actually means when it comes to packaging is it's referring to the toxins in your body. It wants to detox your liver, basically. So you'll see a lot of ingredients like milk thistle or fennel that are going to be used in that, and that's to help against the pollutants. And yes, those are beneficial because they help detoxify, but that's not what actually is happening to your liver with this non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So just be careful with that. The other significant study I really want to touch on, and I hate to touch on it because 2020 has been kind of a crazy whirlwind. We're talking about immunity in this pandemic, right? I make no claims. I want to make that absolutely clear. I make no claims with regards to this pandemic, but I have to follow the science. I'm an evidence-based person, Daniel. So I like facts. I like studies. That's just kind of where my mind goes. And during these trials on patients who were suffering with asthma or COPD, the introduction of the tocotrienols into their system significantly reduced airway resistance. It significantly reduced the mucus production, right? So, coughing everything up, it was definitely decreasing the production there. Increased lung distension, which is how far our lungs extend basically when we're breathing, and it increased their air sac capacity. Now, we don't often think of air sac capacity when we take a breath, however many 100,000 million times a day. Healthy lungs have about 300 million air sacs in them. Now, in an unhealthy person or someone that has asthma, COPD, you name it, I mean, there's no saying how many they have, but that is significant in helping them have a better quality of life, breathe better, feel better. So you just can't deny the science. The science, that's what it's shown, and this is significant in research with tocotrienol.
Wow, so much to consider right there. You kind of wonder, with all of this going on with people listening, is it possible to get enough of this from just having, just in your regular diet alone?
No,
Mm-hmm.
It's not. And I say that with any vitamin, really. Like I said, you have to supplement. Our diet, our system in general, our food is just not grown the same way. It's just not possible. You have to supplement and give your body the tools that it needs to function and do what it was meant to do. Now, a lot of that, I think I've talked about this too. We kind of joke because I say you don't have to be a vegetarian. You don't. But you really do need to pay attention and introduce plants into your body for health. You need these vitamins and nutrients from various sources. You can't just stick to one source of food and think your body's going to get what it needs. And if you do, great. But then you definitely need to consider supplementing to give your body the other nutrients it needs from other sources. Now, they're saying in a healthy person, specific to tocotrienol, that maybe only 100 to 200 milligrams is needed per day. That would be adequate and sufficient. But if you're someone that suffers, from these chronic inflammations or chronic illness or these other things we've talked about, it's safe up to 1,000 milligrams, even up to 2,500, I've heard, according to studies. So, but again, there, more to come with that. I can't wait to learn more what they're discovering.
Wow, pretty incredible stuff that you've been sharing here today. I'm curious for our listeners out there how they can reach out to you, find out more about this, have any questions answered, things like that.
Absolutely, yes. So you can't get this anywhere else in the market. You can go to Google. Go Google it today. You're not going to see it. You might see some other tocotrienol, mixed forms coming out that are very specific, but you can't get Radiant anywhere else. You have to get it through me. It is exclusive to our company. It's created and manufactured strictly for our company. So For all you listeners out there listening, I hope I can educate you more about it. If you want to call me, please reach out. I do have an Oregon number. I'm based in Texas, but you can reach out to me. And also on your website, Beyond 50 website, my page is on there, my link to my page. So please go visit it, check it out. But, yeah, specifically, I just love educating people about it and the benefits of the product. So I'd love to connect with them. But, yeah, just give me a call. I would love to let people try this and see how it can work for them, benefit their bodies.
Well, a lot of fantastic information and insight that you've given about vitamin E. I don't see any reason why people would want to move in this direction, especially as you were talking about the alarming rate of which Americans suffer from non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That's pretty,
Yeah.
that's astonishing there all by itself.
Right.
Well, Angela, thank you for being on the program today. You have any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
No, just thank you so much for having me again. I look forward to connecting. Like I said, I just want to educate people. I do offer, health talks virtually for anybody interested in just learning about this product or any, plant-based, stuff I can help them with, going back to basics. So, yeah, I look forward to reaching out. Please connect. I love talking with people in person and just sharing what I know. Knowing is growing.
Absolutely. Hopefully after this election process, we'll all be able to continue to do that on our paths.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you what, need some vitamin E just for the energy of all this kind of crazy
right?
stuff. So.
Yeah.
Well, Angela, again, thank you so much for coming on the program and telling our listeners about the benefits of vitamin E.
Yes, thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate it.
We want to thank you, the listeners out there, for tuning in. You can discover more at beyond50radio.com. That is the number 50. Like we said, we'll have a post up there of Angela DeBille's page where you can find out more about the benefits of vitamin E and especially how you can reach out and contact her as well. We want to thank you for joining us again. You can also discover more through our newsletter, so sign up for that each week and you'll receive that into your email e-box as well. I'm Daniel Davis. Thank you for joining us. This is the Beyond 50 radio program, and remember, wherever you are is where you should be. Have a great day.